we go. Okay, let's talk about crosshatching. I gotta be honest, I think crosshatching is probably my favorite method of shading and drawing for a couple reasons. Firstly, you're making a lot of marks on the page, and that really helps you loosen up. And the second reason is that I find it quick, and I can cover a lot of surface area very, very quickly. Now, what is crosshatching, you might be asking? Some of you might know, but others may not. So I did some Googling. Crosshatching it's French. Shout out France. Is an artistic technique used to create tonal or shading effects by drawing or painting or scribbling closely parallel lines. I took a screenshot because that's what's gonna show up on that. Oh, what is this? 6 forms of cross-hatching. I didn't even know that. I just thought you crisscross. There's parallel hatching. There's contour hatching. I kinda knew all of these. And then there's cross-hatching, where you like crisscross. There's fine cross-hatching, basket hatching. I've never heard that one. And then tick hatching. There's a lot of like crazy little details and terms the art world likes to use. But just keep it simple. Cross-hatching is using a bunch of lines to create value in an image. So your shadows, your midtone, and your highlights, where you'll have lack of lines. And that's how you define volume, and that's how you give depth to your image. So let me show you. Cup was empty. Whoop. All right, so this right here is a book cover I made for one of my graphic design classes for George Orwell's 1984. We pretty much got the pick, and this was the book I picked. Now, what I liked about this drawing is that I immediately knew what I wanted the cover to be, and it was this. I took inspiration from like old school like Soviet and Nazi propaganda with the red and black and all that. And if you know anything about that book is pretty much about a dystopian future where people's rights are like just stripped away from them, and it's very bleak and dark. So I wanted to cover his eyes and his mouth, kind of showcasing he has no voice or opinions or anything like that. Bars kind of remind you of a jail. And this whole image I did with cross-hatching. So if you really zoom in, you see all these tiny little lines. All these tiny little lines just scribbled in, and that's how I create my shadows right here, and that's how I'm able to separate it from my highlights, which are right here. So my light source is coming in from this direction, and this part of my image is where I have my shadows, as you can see. And all of this was done with cross-hatching, with these tiny little lines, and if you zoom in real close, you see that it almost gets black. And even still, if I wanted to just add more depth to it, I would go back in and just keep adding lines and giving more depth to the image until it's all black. And this is really all you really do. You just make lines, over and over and over again, over the surface, until you have like smooth gradient value. Now, like I said, I picked cross-hatching for a couple reasons. One of the reasons was because it was quick, and I was able to get this project done within like 2 days of like in class time, which is like 2.5 hours, and I'm able to cover a lot of surface area, and it gets your rhythm. You find your rhythm drawing with cross-hatching because you're making marks over and over and over and over again. You're less concerned about accuracy, so that frees up your thought process and your hand and all that, and you can just keep going as long as you can, and ultimately you make a better image. Anytime I'm doing any kind of sketches, I always cross-hatch for my shading because, again, it's quick and it loosens you up, makes you less nervous to mark up the page and all that stuff. Okay, so let me real quick hide up all my shading, and that's mostly on this layer. So right here you see just how flat, you can kind of see my basic image. Now let me go back to that one website, because they had different kinds of cross-hatching. So the first thing they had was parallel hatching. So let me try that for a little bit. And apparently this is all just like straight lines overlapping. So let's go over here, just kind of start marking up the page. So this is the idea. So lines of different length. So if I want my gradient to be greater, I draw longer lines, and then I go back over it, and kind of in the space where I had like blank spots, so like here, I would draw shorter lines. And you can kind of see how quickly you're able to like cover surface area, and it's just a lot of repetition until you build smooth shading. So there you go. And then you just kind of develop it. So you go back in and you get something like this. Now again, this is super rough, but you kind of get the idea. Up next, it was contour hatching. Now, contour hatching, I've seen quite a bit. There's a really incredible Instagram artist who specializes in like ink and pen contour drawings. I'll have his profile pop up now. Be sure to check him out. Contour hatching, you kind of use for like curved surfaces. So like his head, for example, would be a perfect spot to use. I'm gonna go on his chin, and it's kind of, you're trying to follow the flow of the shapes. So your lines, instead of just being straight, they curve. Now, there is one con with contour drawing, and is that you kind of just have to be extremely patient when you do it, because you just have to be more careful with your lines. And then same concept, your lines do overlap and crisscross, and you kind of just go over it, and you keep doing this and developing it until you have a smooth gradient shading. There we go. So that chin is an example of contour hatching. Up next, we have just like regular cross hatching and fine line cross hatching. So cross hatching, exactly what I showed here, just line and line, and then you go back at like a 45-degree angle, 90-degree angle, and go over it, and you just keep doing this until you have your gradient shadow or shading. And then fine line cross hatching, that's pretty much that with thinner lines. So literally exactly what you saw here. All of this work right here is fine line cross hatching. And then the last one, I've never tried this one before, basket hatching. Whoa, okay. So it goes something like, they draw the 3 lines, and then draw 3 more lines this way, and then draw 3 more lines this way, 3 more lines this way, 3 more lines this way. And they kind of just do this. I'm not sure I like that, but that's what that is. And then the next one, tick hatching. Now tick hatching, I like to explain as kind of when beginners start to draw hair, that's kind of what it looks like. So it's a lot of just like super small lines, and then the way you make the gradient is you make the distance between the lines bigger, and you make the lines and your marks smaller, and then you can like go back in, go the other way, but it's less about like actually making lines and just about like making marks. So you know, like when someone's new to drawing and they're trying to draw stubble, they do a lot of like tick hatching, and that'd be the result of it. So with that being said, hope that helped. I kind of did a brief explanation of everything. Be sure you practice on your own. Get out your pad while you're watching this video and try these. And if you've never done these before and you're like an avid drawer, I recommend you do them when you're sketching, when you're like doing still lifes, anything like that. Because I find that it's faster, and I find that I like the process way more. Because again, it warms my wrist up and loosens my hand and kind of just gets my flow state going. So hope you guys enjoyed. Again, here's my book cover one last time. Please like and subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so you actually know when I upload. I have new videos often, so be on the lookout. Let me know what you guys want to see. Next video is probably going to be a sculpting video, or it's probably going to be the video before this. I don't know, it depends on when I upload stuff. But I'm trying to venture more into like photography stuff, sculpture stuff, and other really cool surprises. So be on the lookout. But until next time, bye.